actually hear the first-hand account of who Steve Jobs really was from the guy who gave him his first job.
Do tell, please.
Well, Steve Jobs. This is to tell you to speak to Steve Jobs' character. Are we going live?
In just a minute. You
All
can
right.
go
Well, I'll tell
ahead.
you.
Right before you trash Steve
Yeah,
Jobs
right
on
before
here.
his estate is very litigious. But all right, so back when the Atari days, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak both worked for Atari,
I
and
forgot they were both Steve. Yeah.
uh, Nolan Bushnell, the founder of Atari and the father of the video game industry, called Steve Jobs into his office and said, "All right, Steve, I want you and Wozniak to work together and make me an Atari system, but I want it to be small. For every microprocessor you take off the Atari board, I will pay you $5,000." So,
Nice.
and this is back in the late '70s, early '80s.
Hmm.
So that's a good deal of money.
Yep.
So Steve Jobs goes upstairs in the Atari headquarters and goes to Steve Wozniak and goes, "You know what he says? Steve, guess what Nolan just said? For every chip we take off of this board, he's going to pay us $500 because Wozniak trusted Jobs to take his pay to handle his paycheck."
Wow.
Let's see some other
Wow.
stories Nolan Bushnell had about Steve. Oh, one time when Steve Jobs
Can
came
we
in
go
and said,
live? I'm sorry.
"Okay, I'll tell you more afterwards."
Okay,
I'm
please do. Because whoa.
yeah, I'm really sorry. Okay.
I don't want to get sued by Steve Jobs' dead body.
Okay. And we are now live with the Apotheosis Inc interview. Yeah, exciting.
Woo!
Hey everybody, I'm Aggie. I'm here as always with the lovely Miss Liette,
Hello.
CEO of Apotheosis Inc. Victor, and programmer Raphael with us. And today we're gonna talk about some more Rido. So without further ado, Liette, would you like to take it away?
Sure thing. I feel like I have asked you this already, but just wanted to catch up and see where we are. So tell us how beta's going.
Beta's going great. We've got about 300 active people on the beta,
Yeah.
and they're giving us lots of great feedback because we are a small team. So they find a lot of bugs that we missed, and using that feedback button, they get it right to us. So it gives us a good workflow, gives us a good idea where to work and focus on repairs.
Yep. They've been giving us tons of feedback, not just some bugs, but also they've been telling us what they like, what they don't like, suggestions that we implement as quickly as possible when
Yeah.
appropriate.
Oh yeah. We've also got a lot of activity on the mobile side, is where most of the beta is right now.
Especially.
Mostly because that's where multiplayer is.
Right.
Our Steam Greenlight's still going, so we need once that green light goes through, we can start working on getting multiplayer onto the PC and Mac.
Yep.
Very sweet. And I hear you're having some bugs, especially on certain mobile devices. How is that getting worked out?
iOS. Raphael, why don't you tell them how much we love iOS?
To put it diplomatically, iOS doesn't make it the easiest thing in the world to publish on an iPhone or iPad platform. They make you jump through a couple of hurdles that Android just doesn't make you go through.
A
Which
couple of
makes
hurdles.
just a couple, a couple of hundred thousand, dozens,
Just
whatever.
to
It's just
get
a number.
to give people an
Um,
idea, it takes maybe about an hour to build Rido after we've compiled a new beta. It takes about an hour to build it for Android, PC, and OS X.
right.
For iOS, it takes about 3 hours just to get to the point to where you can build for iOS.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, like a lot of our beta testers right now are on Android, and I think that owes a lot to the fact that because of iOS restrictions on how you run a beta, we've had to sort of go a roundabout way. And so if you look at if you're a backer on Kickstarter, you've probably seen the big long message a few times of how to access the latest beta build, and you'll notice that on iOS it's like 10 steps, whereas everything else is like
Yeah.
3.
For pretty much everything else, it's download this file, put it where it needs to go, click install, you're done. For iOS, it's sign up for the service, register, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, and we actually had to go. Microsoft actually came to our rescue, and it's a service called WhatsApp that Hockey app. Excuse me, not WhatsApp. Hockey app is what we're using to get out the iOS beta, and it's a Microsoft had the solution for Apple shenanigans.
Yeah, it's really great. It allows us to publish directly to users, and for users to give us the registrations directly, without having to do a whole lot of hassle and annoy everyone.
Yeah, we also had that little panic moment last night when iOS forgot how to email.
Yeah.
What?
How?
Oh no.
How emails work. It also forgot how integers work.
Yeah, a very basic function of any computer at any programming level is comparing numbers. Is 1 less than 2? Is 1 greater than 0? The iOS platform forgot how to do that.
Yeah, I got nothing. I'm sorry.
What?
See, at first we thought it was just us because the only Apple devices we have in the entire organization are our test devices. And so we thought, all right, we're not experienced iOS developers. Clearly, we are doing something wrong.
Right.
And so today I spent most of the day in downtown Austin connecting and networking with other indie devs here in the Silicon Valley of the South. And when I started telling them our woes, they go, why are you blaming yourself? That is just iOS development. Anyone who says they love iOS development has Stockholm Syndrome. So it's good to know it's not just us.
Oh my. So I take it the majority of your time thus far on fixing stuff has just been making it work on iOS.
Yeah, pretty much exactly.
Yeah,
it's actually
in some cases way more time.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons we've been sort of slow on certain features. Like we promised Grievance that we would give you guys a custom board for your community for all the support you've given us, and
Yay.
well, quite honestly, it sits there at I'm looking actually right over here at our production timeline, and it is there at the top. Only it's been knocked down 6 times by the following things: fixed iOS resolution issue. Figure out why iOS isn't connecting to multiplayer. Figure out why iOS can't handle email.
I'm seeing a pattern. Here. I'm really sorry that is quite a struggle.
Oh no, there's nothing to be apologized. I mean, the thing is, when it gets to mobile games and even multi-platform games, you need to tackle iOS. It is a large market, and there is a positive side to iOS. When we build Fido for Android, we need to account for all the different form factors, hardware, and everything. We know what we're getting into with iOS, hardware-wise.
It'll be worth it too. It's just a healthier market on iPhone, and you just can't deny it, however much you want to fanboy.
So I'm guessing it's safe to say most of your bugs come from the iOS app?
Yeah.
Or iOS just stuff?
Pretty much exclusively. We've had, today we processed about 50 bug reports. And like we're very fond of saying, that is not handled by a machine. We do that manually. I make sure we get every one processed. Of those 50, about 40 of them were iOS specific, and the remainder were multi-platform? Yeah.
About 30 of them were specifically for Maggie.
I'm always in there trying to break something.
And you do a very good job, and we're very thankful for that.
Please keep breaking things.
Yay!
Yeah, when it comes to, to give you sort of an insight into how we develop, if you looked at the code of Rido, you'd notice that there's quite a few exceptions in it for iOS, to the point where we're getting to the point that we're so deep into Rido that you can honestly consider the Rido client for iOS a completely different product than the other two, just because of how different it has to be.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
It is, and it's the programmers came to me with an ultimatum a few weeks ago, saying that if we're lucky enough to where Apotheosis can grow and Rido takes off, they want me, the first hire on the programming team, to be someone that they can lock in a closet with the Apple product so they don't have to deal with it.
Lock in a closet? Poor guy.
So I'm hearing it'll be your Apple slave.
Yep, pretty much.
Okay.
It worked for Harry Potter, didn't it?
Yeah, you gotta give them some scars, though. They gotta right there.
That can be arranged.
Have fun. Bad
It'll be
glass.
apple shaped on the middle of his forehead.
Like a brand.
Yeah, this is your life now. Work with a barely functional computer.
Sign this employment contract. Come here. Oh goodness. Well, in fixing bugs, have you made any new ones by accident?
Pretty much every time. That's just how any software development works.
Take one down, patch it around.
127
million bugs on the wall.
Nice.
I've heard
Nice.
that. I love that.
It's like playing Jenga. You know, you think it's gonna really work if you do one thing, but you just make the whole thing less stable every time you change anything.
Unless it's iOS and you fix the stability issue and it throws a hissy fit.
Yeah. So it's a whole lot of all right, let's fix this one thing. Now let's make sure we didn't break anything else. Are we almost good? All right, fine. Let's fix this one thing it broke. Now let's make sure that fixes it and break anything else.
Or then we finally fix everything, we go to build, and then iOS doesn't work at all. Why doesn't iOS work at all? Because we're telling it to use a touchscreen, and it doesn't think it has one.
What?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Oh wow, that made me laugh so hard my eyes teared a little bit.
You know, you're making me really grateful for my Android right now. So thank you for that.
We're really, yeah, we're very.
I originally just liked it because it was cheaper and a little bit easier to customize, but now I'm like never getting rid of my Android.
I don't blame you.
We actually had a programmer who, when he first joined us, he was considering getting an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
He never wants to see an Apple product again.
Don't think so.
Oh
Wow.
my.
Oh, and also, any ideas when we'll be seeing that tutorial rolling out with German Foo's voice? That is going to be awesome. His voice is great.
I received another email from him today. We're in the talks for it. It's going to happen soon.
Yeah, the slight delay came on that is because actually, as we completely redid the user interface of Rido based on nothing but community input. We actually are very that because we built the user interface, but we got a lot of feedback from the community saying, oh well, it's difficult to control. I don't understand what's going on, and so we from scratch redesigned the user interface. Eggy, can we bring it up and show it off?
Yes, of course, no problem.
The new user interface is much more touch-oriented. It has swiping for rotation instead of those little stone buttons. And well, one of the things is, if you remember, our tutorial was very much based on the old user interface. So one of the slight delay is that we have to get Germanfu an updated script to go with the new user interface.
Okay, so do you want me to do the tutorial as we're talking real quick?
I just go to versus AI.
Okay. Select from deck and play?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Am I able to turn off the music yet? Nope. Oh well. Oh wait, the music isn't on, never mind.
Yeah.
Should be able to, unless
It
iOS
should be
broke
off
that.
by default, and
I'm on the Windows
unless
version
iOS
right
broke
now.
It, the settings from the main menu should carry over.
Okay.
We have plans for the settings in games, so we haven't done it yet.
Mostly because iOS.
Oh, I love the new pull-up when you click the card.
Yep.
That is gorgeous.
And then once the card's in the inspector on a PC or a Mac, to rotate it, you just drag it in the direction you want it. So you just click a corner and just drag it in the direction you want it to go in.
It's not dragging the direction I want it to, but it's dragging.
Right now, if you drag in anywhere in the left direction, it'll do counterclockwise, I believe it is.
Okay.
And to the right, it's clockwise.
Okay. Cool.
And then, of course, when you swipe on a touchscreen device, it goes in the direction you're swiping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love this game.
But as you can see, the user interface is completely changed.
Yeah, how do I, there's end turn up in the left-hand corner now.
Yep.
There's the points. The leaves are in the same place. Yeah, this looks, I'm not gonna lie, this looks a lot smoother overall almost. And anybody who's watching, if you want to ask questions, feel free. We'll make note of them, we promise. But, yeah, this feels nice.
And this entire user interface redesign came from outside the studio. This came entirely from feedback from users.
Lovely. Oh yeah, I remember you telling me, I think you were telling me stories about how people were emailing saying, "I imagine this is just a bot I'm talking to."
Yep.
Yeah. People do that, I guess, instinctively, but we had a lot of times where we just had to explain to people that no, I'm a real person. I swear.
Yeah, we actually had someone argue with Raphael over the beta
It's
key
a little
email.
awkward failing the Turing test.
They didn't think Raphael was a person.
For those of you who don't know, the Turing test is it's a thought experiment to prove AI. Whether basically the setup is you don't know who you're talking to across the screen, and you have to be able to determine if it's a computer or a human. And an AI or a computer program passes the Turing test if it successfully convinces the tester that it's a human.
And they didn't believe.
If I fail the Turing test, I feel a little bad about myself.
Yeah, they didn't think he was a person.
That's funny. You sound like a real person. Are you a real boy?
I'm a real boy.
But yeah, I think from the very beginning we said we're very big on community. We're very big on interacting directly with the gamers, and I think this UI redesign is probably our largest forward-facing gesture of that. I mean, because it's one thing to get a bug report and fix it, but it's another thing to change the entire way a game is played and controlled for your community.
Oh yeah.
Like for instance, I can tell the story about why we now have swipe controls for rotation. Basically, we gave the phone to people locally in Austin and watched how they played, and they were sitting there trying to do a swipe motion. And they're like, why can't I do that? And we were like, well, you should be using a button. It's more responsive that way. He's like, no, but I want to swipe. And after seeing enough people do that, we're like, you know what? It makes a whole lot more sense to swipe.
Exactly.
But from us, from a programmer and the developer perspective, we wanted to be discreet. So we went for the button, and people just don't want to use it that way on a phone.
Yeah, and it comes to a major point. I mean, the truth of the matter is we're game developers, and no matter how much we might be gamers ourselves, we still look at games as developers. Like you and I play Destiny. We both play Destiny, but how often do we talk about the game Destiny as we talk about the design choices of Destiny and the tweaking?
I don't even think we recognize that there is a game.
Yeah, it's mostly
It's just a collection of things to analyze and complain about.
Yeah, we have a friend who we play Destiny with who hates playing with us on Xbox Live because the conversation always gets sort of like, I wonder what the design decision was. Well, clearly they made this mistake in the coding.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so great that we have this feedback system. In fact, we were discussing the other day about implementing a sort of a semi-permanent version. It won't be like in the game field after the beta, but we like having that direct line to the gamers. And that's why we're really going to be doubling down with Twitch. Like, we want to have a really good relationship with Twitch streamers in the future because, boom, we can go right there and talk straight to the people who are playing our game.
Yeah, people ask really great questions that we just don't even think to consider a lot. And another thing is, like, sometimes the bug reports come in, and if you take the bug report at face value, it's one thing and you just go fix it. But a lot of times, like, for instance, we've had bugs where, you know, people don't understand why something happened in the game and they think it was a bug. But in truth, we just didn't make something clear enough. So then we have to interpret that and go into it like, all right, we need to make this more clear. That's why we changed the notification system, because people are missing it.
And then there's also now not to being say we don't always get sometimes we get strange things in the feedback, like the bug report that came on a Tuesday and said "Sad Friday." What was that person talking about?
It might have been a very long weekend.
It's Tuesday, sad Friday. Okay. Like, to protect people's privacy, we don't see who sends us the bug report. We just see the bug report. But if you're watching the person who had a sad Friday on a Tuesday, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's really funny, actually. Oh, I'm sorry, Leah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just trying to fathom how someone would be referencing a Friday on a Tuesday. Anyway, I suppose perhaps they had imbibed something that made them think it was Friday and they were sad there was not more to imbibe, or
choose
I
to
don't
believe
know.
that they were from the future. That seems to make most sense to me, and like the History Channel has taught me, you can't prove it wrong.
But that's because we constantly interact with people from the future on our
This
team.
is true.
We have several people on our team who are in the time zone ahead of us. So the internal joke is that they're talking to us from the future.
Yeah, if the world ever explodes, we'll find out from our friends in Australia first.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
The whole 24 hours prepare. That's how it works, right?
Yeah, pretty sure.
One thing I am noticing personally, and I don't know if maybe in the future you could do a poll for this or something, but while the swipe method would work great for touchscreens, I feel like having the button available to spin it would perhaps work better with the computer, with people playing with a mouse.
All right, follow-up question. Where would you prefer the buttons to be?
Yeah, why don't you? We've got the stream up right now, so why don't you go ahead and show us, and we can actually look into that.
If they popped up just above the card when you had the card selected, make it really simple, because then they wouldn't look cluttered and they'd disappear if you didn't have a card selected.
We can do a conditional for that, or will iOS throw a hissy fit?
It might not see the iOS because it'll be just.
Oh, I meant like in the future when you have like separate versions. So like when you have a Windows PC version.
Well, we do need to keep all the versions as close together as possible so they can communicate.
Oh,
So
okay.
I mean, I don't think there's any issue. I mean, I don't see a reason. Okay, rephrase. I don't see a reason why iOS would throw a hissy fit. Do you think? Can you think of any reason why it would?
Because it's iOS?
No, but it hasn't stopped it before.
That is true.
We'll find out. But yeah, I'll look into that, and maybe the next build we'll have that in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's fine. I mean, that's why I was suggesting maybe just like ask people or something.
One of the other things that are coming up in a future build is animations.
Yes.
There'll be a lot of animations for card battles, for when your leave count goes up, the draw animation from the deck. Those are all in the pipeline. And then we're hoping to roll out the deck builder here in the next few weeks.
That's so exciting. I can't wait to see the deck builder. This is going to be wonderful.
There's also spell cards and land cards coming up.
Oh, we're revealing that already. A little spoiler.
You
No,
are
we
going with
we already
land
talked
cards?
about it in the update.
This is true.
You are going to go with land cards?
Yes.
But they're not land cards like in Magic the Gathering. Basically, if you internally we refer to our cards in three ways: permanent, semi-permanent, and temporary. Permanent cards are cards like the creatures that you're playing with now, and they're currently what's only in game is the permanent cards. And we're rolling out the spells first. Spells next, and those are the temporary cards.
Yeah.
These are cards that you play them, and they stay on the board until you use their effect, which happens to be once they're played,
Yes.
and then they automatically remove themselves. And then after that, we're going to roll out the land cards, and land cards are cards that you play on the board, and they have a persistent effect that they do every turn, and then after a certain amount of time, they destroy themselves.
Ooh.
Oh, cool.
See, this is exciting for me because even before like I started meeting you guys and just initially talked to David about the game on Facebook, that was something I talked to him about and suggested. So that's exciting for me.
Well, for all we know, your suggestion is why we have them.
Mm-hmm.
That would be so cool. Oh well. Whether it is or not, I'm just excited they're in there. So.
But you can see, I mean, one of the things we're very keen on is keeping the game updated and staying active, and you can see just how much the game has changed since when we first let you debut the alpha.
Oh yeah, everything feels smoother. The AI is smarter. It's just wonderful. I mean, we had the music the one time when I streamed the game. We've got you have different decks available. It's so exciting and so awesome.
My roommate came into my room today and complained because the AI beat him. He's like, "You made it too hard."
I think it's still too easy.
It's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be, beating over your head challenging. It's just supposed to keep it interesting. But it is possible to lose. Apparently, my roommate lost to it.
I lose
And
to
he
it.
complained about it.
Poor Victor.
I lose to it.
You do lose to it.
I lose to it on a regular basis.
But you're
don't
testing it. You
expect
have
much.
to lose, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, just observing the video of Eggy playing, I've got to hand it to y'all. The animation is smooth and beautiful. I love it. And just the artwork that you're using for your background for the menus is stunning.
Oh, that's all getting updated too in the next build. We just had a whole bunch of new artwork put in for it.
Sweet.
Ooh.
That's really, really, really awesome so far.
Oh, I had a question. Now I forgot it. Darn it.
Well, I have one. What do you most look forward to fixing? Not, I understand like everything that has to do with iOS, but maybe on a smaller scale.
For me, it's not so much about what I want to fix. It's I really want to see the deck builder system working with all the land and spell cards in it. Because I just personally really want to play around deck building. That's always my favorite part of card games. So having a functioning system would be really, really exciting for me.
Yeah, one of the cool things, funny things you remind me about deck building is was funny. We funded a little bit of Rido's early development was us selling our Magic cards.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
That's
what's gonna go in our autobiography.
It's very meta. We sold a deck building game to make a deck building game.
Yeah.
So, are you gonna have any like rules that limit cards a certain number of a certain card in decks at all? Because like, if I just loaded my deck with the wolf and then captured the enemy's weaker cards and then kept getting the 2 extra points added on and on and on, do you think would it still be possible for me to win?
If you
There is a limit on
to
it.
do that, you probably would win depending on your opponent. But we're gonna have strong limitations on a lot of the deck building. For instance, certain qualities of cards, based on rank and rarity, are going to be limited to a certain amount of copies in the deck. It's a 30-card deck, so expect an average of 2 copies. You might have more for a cheaper card. You might have less for a rare card. Like for instance, there's a rarest quality will only allow 1 per deck. If I recall correctly, don't quote me on that.
Yeah, we'd have to check the GDD.
Pretty much don't quote me on any of this because
We don't have the
this is
GDD
kind
open.
of in flux until we have the deck builder system fully fleshed out. But there's also going to be limitations based on sort of thematic elements, which more details of that will be coming out when it's finalized.
And one of the things is we're committed to sort of a certain level of transparency. If you're a backer on Kickstarter, you can go and you can see actually a portion of Raphael's roadmap for maintaining the beta.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh yeah, I remember seeing it.
And I can see now on the Twitch stream that Eggy's playing around with. She just revealed that we are going to have localization. She just sort of showed that there's we will be able to support Rido in different languages.
Yeah, I noticed that. That's awesome. What's the PTBR?
That is Brazilian.
Oh, okay.
Portuguese. Sorry, Brazilian Portuguese is what I was trying to say, but for some reason I drew a blank.
Does it work?
Yeah, it's Brazilian Portuguese. It's the developer who designed the system, his primary language. So he went ahead and translated the game into his personal language, just for everyone.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Oh gosh, it's so wonderful, and I feel like you guys are working so hard on this. I feel like every day I get a different email about a new version available.
Well, it's one of the things. I mean, we are doing a Kickstarter and we're not an established company and we don't have any big names behind us, so we feel that this is something we need to do to maintain credibility, because it is a risk that a lot of people can run into. Is that these people, what happens if we give them our money? Are they actually going to be able to do it? And we feel that by keeping these updates, trying to do them at least once every other day, it really does help keep us moving us forward. It shows that we are working on it actively.
For me, I wouldn't say it's about credibility. I'd say it's about just rewarding the people who are taking a chance on us. I've backed Kickstarters before. I backed Kickstarters where you didn't hear anything about it until a year later. And then you get a single update where it's like, hey, by the way, the game is out. Go buy it. We're like, what? And I don't like, as a fan of games, I don't like not hearing about what's going on, especially if I took the risk of buying in early. and giving them my support. So we want to make sure everyone is feeling in the loop.
And there is that concern because there have been several games that either have been kickstarted or greenlit on Steam, and they seem to be actively developed, and then the developers just up and vanish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a disservice to the gamers, I think. And so we're doing our best to maintain a level of activity. And if, like, say, there is ever a day or a 2-day period where there aren't any updates, it's not because we have stopped working. It's because we've gone nose to the ground on iOS.
Yeah, I don't
That should be the only thing ever.
There's no such thing as a day off in game development.
Thanks to iOS.
Yeah.
Because we almost had a day off, and we
Almost.
thought we launched the beta. We thought everything was great. We were going to take a day off because we've been
There was that one day where we were really, really sure that I was going to get to go to bed before midnight, and then iOS happened.
And then we didn't sleep for 3 days.
We don't talk about that time.
You can tell how much love we have for Apple products.
Yeah.
Well, right now. Yeah, I'm feeling like we need to send y'all shirts that just have iOS and then a big X over it right now.
Just like those Splash Mountain shirts, I survived iOS.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, you brought up the Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going great. I see right now you're at 3787. Woohoo!
Mm-hmm.
And so you've been talking to local companies in Austin and all that. Anything you want us to know, especially about the Kickstarter?
Just that we please share it with your friends, your family. We're counting on everyone's support for this, because not only is Rido depending on that Kickstarter to get made, it's that is also the beginning of Apotheosis Game Studios, and we want to make other games, and we want to take our attitude towards making games forward. We want to basically make these gamer-centric, focused projects.
Yeah.
We've we like our physical rewards. One thing we got a lot of questions about is the art book. It's the higher level ones. That art book, we're only producing it for the Kickstarter backers.
I'm gonna have to up my Kickstarter now.
It's not going to be available afterwards. You either get it as an add-on, you get it as part of the backer package, and that's it. Once those get produced, there will be no more.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's going to be really good on your coffee table. I think I convinced one of my family members to buy so I can get it.
Everyone on the team's getting one anyway.
Whatever, I want to. No, it's just a really, really good backer reward. And I recommend it to everyone, really.
Well, in the future, as like an exclusive thing, if you guys if your game does well and you go to conventions or have booths of different stuff to promote your game, have you ever thought of just making it exclusive to events or something like that then?
We have thought about it, and ultimately what we decided is that this art book, this one that's coming out, this one is exclusive to Kickstarter backers. It'll have stuff in it that any future product will not. It's not to say we will never put out another art book, it's just what is in this art book most likely will not make it into future ones.
It basically comes down to, if you promise an exclusive thing for Kickstarter, it should be exclusive. Where's that meaning?
I mean, yeah, people make promises on Kickstarter all the time. It's the reason behind why, if you look at a lot of Kickstarter and the game projects, they promise a certain day or a month when they're going to release. Look at us. We haven't. In fact, if you've interviewed us multiple times, how often do you get an exact date out of us?
Never.
Exactly. And it's because we don't want to end up being that game company like so many others that ends up breaking promises.
Yeah.
So when we give an answer, we give a range.
Or worse, you fulfill the promise and deliver a half-finished game.
Yeah. So we for example, our release is Q4 of this year. Well, that means it could come in fairly early, or it could come in as late as December. And the reason behind that is we don't want to release a half-finished game, nor do we want to make a promise on a hard date that we then have to change, because we've all been there. We've all pre-ordered a game and then seen it been delayed.
Oh yeah.
and we don't want to be that game company. So we've had a few people email us and ask us why no hard dates, and we tell them that all the time. It's like we as game developers would love to say right here, the game, everything, this feature, this part of the game will be done on this date. But ultimately, we think we're doing, for the gamers, we're better off giving these ranges of dates. That way the gamers know, okay, my game's coming out in this space of time and it will be done. It won't be half finished.
That's awesome.
There's no crystal balls in game development. You don't know what's going to happen next week in development.
Oh, we know what happens next week.
iOS breaks.
iOS breaks.
So yeah, you pretty much have to keep a fudge factor on any promises you make as far as timetables go.
Well, it sounds like you're using that under promise over deliver method, which is good. That's a really good thing. And I like that you're not giving a hard date. It's actually part of that respect thing that y'all really focus on all the time, in respecting that you've got to make a good game first and foremost. So no, I think that's really smart. Don't give a hard date.
Oh yeah.
Just please put it on Steam sometime.
Like I said,
If Steam lets us.
Yeah, the Steam Greenlight is what we need. We need people to go on there. We need to vote. We just need to be in the top 70% of games on Steam Greenlight for 2 weeks straight. And once that happens, then Steam gives us access to their API, and then we can start moving it on to Steam, because Rido's very modular behind the scenes. So once we get through Greenlight and we can see what the Steam API is, I don't expect it would take us too long to get it up and running there.
No, it shouldn't.
It's just unless Steam has something completely radical with their matchmaking, it's probably just going to be replacing the Google Play Services module with theirs.
I hope so. They don't release the information for people who aren't
in Steam Greenlight.
Right.
So we can only.
We don't know until we get there. But from what I've heard, the rumor mill is that it's pretty easy. It's not as easy as it could be, but it's pretty easy.
Yeah. So really, that's the only thing keeping us from getting multiplayer on PC, Mac, and Linux is Steam Greenlight.
Okay.
Awesome.
We have a project, all you people watching.
Go
Tell your
vote.
friends, tell your family. Tell the hobos on the street.
Okay.
Hobos can go to the library and click yes on Steam
Okay.
Greenlight.
It is a free-to-play game.
Mm-hmm.
They can afford it.
Yes. Very,
Ouch.
very cool. Well, and any expansion material that you're especially looking forward to working on once iOS is behaving?
Well, the one thing we can talk about is future plans for Rido. A lot of games, people on Kickstarter, they look at a game and they go, well, maybe this is just a one and done thing. We fund it, we get the game, and well, that's not Rido. Rido is a card game, and like all card games, it needs to be sustainable.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna think that about our genre.
Still, it's a good idea to
Yeah.
back it up with what our plan is. Basically, what we've structured Rido in is what we call it's a 4-step support program. And first step is you need to admit that iOS is terrible. No, but it's our
Second step, find a higher power.
Yeah.
You can't be Steve Jobs.
yes, in Bill Gates we trust. But oh man, Larry Page at Google's gonna kill us. The slightest.
Get to know what a lawsuit feels like.
Yep. Anyway, more. Our plan is our plan will kick off in Q2 of next year. So the game's launching in fourth quarter of this year. We have something special planned for first quarter of next year, but in Q2 of next year, we're gonna launch our first expansion, and that's gonna be it's gonna add chapters to story mode. It's gonna add new cards, and it's gonna continue the story of Norse mythology. And then in Q3 there'll be another expansion, and then in Q4 there will be yet another expansion, which will then take us into 2017. And in Q1 of 2017 is going to be our first major release. And that's when we will expand the world of Rido into a new mythology, an entirely new area of mythology. and then we're going to for the next 3 quarters after that, we're going to introduce expansion the same way, and then repeat the process. So every year we're going to be going into a new mythology. And what's really cool about this is every release, so in the first quarter, once we start doing releases, we're going to introduce new mechanics to the game.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome. Imagine how much stuff iOS can mess up for you then.
We try not to. we try not to.
Oh. Well, too cool. I'm very partial to Greek mythology. I had to do a lot of studying of that in college, so I'm sure that's...
You got the model for your goddess of beauty right over there with Miss Liette.
Oh no. Are you kidding? God. But thank you.
I feel like if there was a god for this, though, Raphael with that manly beard over there would be like the goddess of the god of manliness.
Thank you very much.
Raphael actually has a card in game.
It's being worked on, yeah.
It's
Awesome.
it's
Really?
Raphael, the rebugger.
Yeah, it definitely, Hannah did a portrait of me that is far more generous than I would have done.
Yeah. Raphael, there's a title that gets passed around the programmers. Raphael, why don't you tell them the story of your title as you hold it currently?
So, a little bit like, I don't know if you're familiar with Star Wars Expanded Universe, but there's the title of the Mandalore. Basically, he's the best Mandalorian, best soldier in the Star Wars universe.
That has nothing in any way
But-
related to your title.
Yes, when we have a title, it works in a similar way, but opposite. It's called Lead Rebugger. Basically, whenever one of our programmers adds something to the code and pushes it to the team that breaks everything, they become the new Lead Rebugger.
Most of the time, it's Raphael.
Pretty much.
So I guess you get that hat. Nice.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
And again, it's because I'm the one in charge of making the iOS work.
Yeah.
I can see his image now. He looks proud and tall, but there's like centipedes and stuff crawling around his beard.
We actually had a funny thing with Raphael, one of our programmers logged on. Raphael sent out a message, "Hey, I'm having a problem with the Mac." Logged off.
That's funny. All right then. Well, I guess this is probably a good place and time to start wrapping things up too. So, any closing remarks you guys want to make?
Just please, if you can, back our Kickstarter. Vote for us on Steam Greenlight. If you can't, please share. We just need to get the word out about our product. We're working hard on it. We're trying to push out updates as fast as we can.
Yeah, and thank you so much to everyone who has followed us and supported us so far. And thank you so much for all the feedback that you've been giving us through the app if you're a Kickstarter supporter and in our beta.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing an interview again. I'm sorry it's a little slower tonight since it's a weekday, but
Thanks for having us.
we'll make sure everybody sees it on YouTube. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
of course we'll get it to you as soon as possible. So I'm Maggie, guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on this interview. Miss Liette, would you like to take it to finish off?
Sure thing. Don't forget to check out more of our interviews with Apotheosis Inc. on our YouTube page. You can also check out Apotheosis on Twitter. Victor, what is the best way to tweet at you guys?
At Apotheosis Press is our Twitter handle.
I'm Twitter illiterate.
At Apotheosis Press is our Twitter handle.
Sweet.
And you can find us on Kickstarter by searching Rido Road to Ragnarok. And that's pretty much what you need. We're also on Steam Greenlight under Rido.
Mhm.
And yeah, Twitter is the best way to contact us.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Very
At
cool.
Apotheosis Press.
And for those of you that might want to spell things in special ways, like I have been known to do, Raido is Raido. And if you are to Google for the Kickstarter, you can just put in the words Kickstarter Raido, and boom, there it is. I also put the link in chat, so for those of you watching right now, go check it out, please. They have some really, really, really amazing backers rewards in there,
Oh, yeah.
including that art book. So, go check it
And
out.
remember, no matter what level you back us at Kickstarter, you get access to the beta.
Yep.
You donate
Yep.
enough,
They
you
have
get a card of your
constant
image.
updates. Very regular updates on the beta, even if it's just about future features.
Mhm.
They always tell you what's going on.
Yep. And they have some really
Interested
fun
on the game
feedback.
design process.
So
Sweet.
awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you again, hopefully soon. And good luck fixing all the bugs, especially for iOS.
It
All right.
never ends with iOS.
So I hear. Well, thank you
there is
again.
only sadness in that fruit.
I know. I'm sorry. Hopefully it'll wind down soon. Yeah. I'll keep my fingers crossed for you. Toes crossed too.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, have a beautiful night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you for watching.
Okay, we're good.
Cool. I'll probably wait for Chad to upload that one just to make sure that it's cut correctly.
About
Just-
how long does it usually take him to do that?
He's off work tomorrow morning, so I'd give it 12-ish hours.
All right, cool.
Well, it should have gone to Twitch as two different videos, so the first one he can just ignore since we completely restarted.
Oh, that's good. Let me go log out then.